record people and also me.
Okay. Alright. Hello and thank you for coming. Columbine, 13. Sandy Hook, 26. Virginia Tech, 32. The numbers that I rattled off after each of those places is the number of innocent people dead from unjust massacre of innocent teachers, students, daughters, sons, children, and much more. What if it had been one of you? Would you be here today? I had the unique pleasure of growing up in Canada, where I experienced a childhood free from fears of mass shootings. I did not worry that my parents would be mugged and shot on their way home from work. I did not worry that heated arguments I saw would turn into gun-related homicide. I had a lot of fears, but none of them concerned guns. When I moved to America, in the South nonetheless, these fears had never crossed my mind became daily thoughts. And as the years went on, I saw more and more massacres in the news. I became set on fighting for a change. Many of you probably own a gun. Some of you may be opposed to guns, and some of you will always defend the constitutional right to bear arms. Well, I'm not asking for a lot, just a small step in the direction towards reform. I will not stand here and preach, nor will I guilt you into listening to heart-wrenching stories. I will not persuade you all to change your views completely, or suggest that guns cease to exist completely. But I have made it my goal to persuade all of you to come together and take a small step towards reconsidering the current laws on guns in America. So let me start off by showing you this. Since most of you in this room are scientists, I will start off with some numbers. This ad says that every 43 seconds someone dies from gun violence. This is an image from an anti-gun ad campaign by artist Francois Robert. While this statistic is for the entire world, Americans do have the highest per capita gun ownership in the world. There are about 9 guns for every 10 Americans. Mass murder. That's not a great word, but what does it really mean? Well, it's defined as an innocent involving multiple victims of gun violence. There's no official set of criteria or definition for mass shooting. According to criminology experts at the FBI, according to criminology experts at the FBI, it was counted that shooting sprees over the last 3 decades were at least 61 mass murders, and these were carried out by legal firearms across the country. So the majority of these weapons used in these 61 mass murders over this past decade were legal. Gun ownership is declining overall, but nearly a third of households still have a gun, according to the Washington Post. The Midwest comes in second here, with 34% of people claiming that they have a gun, and where I'm from, the South, 38%. And this study was done by a group at the Pew Research Center. So why does America need to change? Well, there are a lot of reasons. People's lives end much too quickly. As in this ad, you could be attending college next year and that's all. Like many of the students at Virginia Tech, like many of the children at Sandy Hook, their lives ended way too soon, and it would be a shame for that to continue. The FBI published a study that found that active shooting situations have jumped from 6.4 to 16.4 incidents per year. Active shooting situation is defined as an individual actively engaged in killing or attempting to kill people in a confined area. Of the 12 deadliest shootings in the U.S., 6 have happened from 2007 and on. The shootings that I mentioned in my introduction are very well known, and these are some of the most deadly. But the list of well-known shootings grow every single day. Constantly, I get a notification on my phone from CNN letting me know that someone else has died from a shooting, that there's a shooter on the loose, Charleston, the Navy Yard, etc. States with stricter gun control tend to have less gun-related deaths. This makes sense. But to make sure economist Richard Florida studied the correlation between gun deaths and other kind of social indicators, thinking that he would find that places with a higher population, higher immigration, higher stress would lead to higher gun deaths. Well, this was not the case, and it was only that states with stricter gun control have less of these deaths. So what should we do about this? These could be people in our family. One could be you, your child, your mother, anybody. So I'll offer something bold. Let's be more like Canada. Now I know that seems a little weird, but Canadian gun laws are a lot more complicated, but also restrictive, and they don't ban guns completely. Canadian gun laws divide firearms into categories with requirements including registration, permits, training courses, and exams for all allowed weapons. First-time owners also must fill out a survey that asks about mental health and criminal record. There's a background check and mandatory 28-day waiting period. Canada also has no law or constitutional provision guaranteeing the right to bear arms. But violence still happens in Canada, even mass shootings, but not as often. CNN said that the homicide rate in Canada has been the lowest this year since 1996. People can die from a lot of other things, like stabbings for instance. But if I were to stab you with this pen and kill you, what would I have to do? I would have to be close to you. I would have to make it personal. I couldn't stab everyone in this entire room within 5 seconds like you could with a gun. I would have to go up to each person. And the death rates from stabbing are much lower than that from shooting. So I'm not saying that we should ban guns completely. There is a need for guns in rural areas, on our farms, in places where law enforcement cannot get there quickly, and we need them for self-preservation. So all I'm saying is, you don't need to write to your senator, you don't need to march around your capital, just speak up when someone offers their opinion about guns. Provide a calm voice of reason, and try and think of everyone that has died and will die from gun violence in the future. Try and have an open mind when stating your opinion, and maybe suggest some of the views that I have given you guys in this speech, some of the reforms that Canada has, and maybe we'll have a brighter future for America regarding guns. Thank you.
Film everybody again. Me too.